With commentators on the right as well as the left denouncing Donald Trump for saying he'd temporarily bar Muslims from coming into this country, one prominent exception has been Laura Ingraham. I sat down with the radio host, Fox News contributor, and founder of LifeZet.com. Laura Ingraham, welcome.
Good to be here.
All right, you tweeted this: GOP and Democratic establishment goal, not just destroying Trump, but destroying the entire populist movement. So, media establishment, which have been hostile to Trump, part of that?
I think the media establishment's actually helped Trump in an interesting way because they know that he gets a lot of ratings. They know he's quite popular in some segments of certainly the Republican Party, and they know he understands showmanship. So in an odd way, even though I'm sure a lot of media people don't like him for a variety of reasons, they love what he brings to their sometimes incredibly boring programming or flat programming. And so the magnetism
It's like
of
nobody
Trump
would watch if we don't have Trump.
Well, I think it's like you want the hottest thing. So he's a lot of heat now, and sometimes it's controversial heat, sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's infuriating to people, but it's emotion and it's heat that's attached to some of the biggest issues, I think, that are ignored traditionally by the media.
Well,
immigration and trade. Immigration and trade.
I think the media establishment is sort of tied up with or intertwined with the political establishment. Yet you use the word destroying
Yeah.
Trump. That's a strong verb.
Yeah, they don't want Trump to be the nominee of the Republican Party. I mean, we know for a fact, let's start with the political class, the top donors to Jeb Bush. See, I even mix them up. The top donors to Jeb Bush have said behind closed doors and some publicly that they don't see themselves voting for Trump. Sometimes they'll say, well, he's not going to be the nominee. But then others who are close to George W. said, we couldn't support Trump, we'll vote for Hillary. So now we know the establishment, when push comes to shove, would rather be with each other in the same party than they'd rather be with someone like a Trump, or I think Cruz falls into the same category, someone who's more populist on these economic and to some extent foreign policy issues, but mostly economic, especially trade and immigration.
On the media side of the equation, this isn't just garden variety liberal bias. Many big-name conservative commentators, including some here at Fox,
Sure.
your friends and colleagues, say Trump's plan on stopping Muslims from coming in, at least temporarily, is crazy, and that he is destroying conservatism. This is escalating.
Many of these, with all due respect, are the same people who said that, you know, it was all going to work out for us in the Middle East, that, you know, we would be benefiting from all these great trade deals, and we've seen decades of global trade deals lead to decades of stagnation in the middle class.
But are you concerned as a conservative, and we've heard from everybody from Dick Cheney to Paul Ryan on this, that Trump's plan about, at least temporarily, and not applying to everybody, but not allowing most Muslims into this country, is something that kind of equates the religion with Islamic terrorism?
Well, I think the President of the United States has a unique and solitary responsibility, above all else, is to keep this country safe. And I think we're going to have to make some really difficult calls, some calls that we're not going to like. Maybe it's regional profiling. Maybe it's a pause in immigration altogether. I've said it, and I said on Special Report, I wouldn't have done it this way. So I think all these people say, well, Trump, what about Trump? Trump's the problem. You know what I say? What has the establishment done for us lately?
So the extent that much of the media has gone after Trump really hard, harder than anything I've seen in this campaign.
How's that worked out for them?
Okay, but on this Muslim travel ban,
how has that worked out for them?
Do you think they are out of touch with the fears of many Americans?
I think they're completely out of touch. I think every poll shows us that, from Zogby to Pew to Gallup to NBC to CNN to the CBS poll.
Why are they out of touch?
Well, they don't really have to worry, for the most part, about being replaced by a foreign worker. I think the point was made at the last debate.
But they worry about terrorism. We all worry about terrorism.
Right, but I actually think there are a lot of people who think that it might be that we have to suffer some vulnerabilities to live up to these global ideals. That the global ideals of open borders, if you want to come here and work here, we're going to find a place for you. They literally think that is our moral obligation as a country, to let anyone who wants to come into the country come into the country,
so
without regard to without regard to where you come from, if it's a hotbed of terrorism, without regard to our inability to track people. I believe there are many people in both parties, mostly in the establishment, who believe that we cannot put any limits, meaningful limits, on immigration geared toward reducing the number of potential radicalized terrorists in the United States. I think They believe to do so would be to falling prey to all these horrible instincts, because I think a lot of them think that a lot of people in the American public are really racist and they're xenophobic and they don't like immigrants. And I reject that completely. I think there are always bad apples out there in any population, but I think most people who are concerned right now, who are with Carson, Trump, or Cruz, I think most of these people are good people. They're patriotic people. They love this country, but they think the establishment has failed. And we know that Obama failed.
Just to button this up, you believe that some in the establishment and some in the press won't say so out loud, but that they believe few terrorist attacks are a small price to pay to uphold what we see as our ideological goal.
I think if San Bernardino didn't wake people up, then, I mean, we had 9/11. That didn't seem to change things much, did it?
Change the debate.
Well, no. We spent a lot of money on terrorism, anti-terrorism measures. We did the Homeland Security Department. We spent $60 billion a year to fund Homeland Security. But we still have a guy who can walk across the southern border dressed up like Osama bin Laden. Does that sound like a country who takes it all seriously? I think we have a lot of window dressing.
Always provocative. Laura Ingraham, thanks very much for joining us.